All right, we're now live. Welcome in, everybody. Me and Dale here today talking some Thursday night football. And just
Yo,
talking some ball. How you doing today, Dale?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. I've got a couple teams with Lamar Jackson, so I'm excited to see him finally back and healthy. I need this man to cook for me tonight.
Yeah, it's good to see Lamar back for sure, and just excited to see the Ravens at full strength. They've been so injured throughout the year. I think the only injury now is Ronnie Stanley, who's their starting left tackle, and it seems like he's going to be playing tonight. So, yeah,
It's
Ronnie
nice.
Stanley, good to go, according to most latest reports. So the Ravens are back to full strength tonight. Should be fun to watch. I think the Dolphins are also relatively healthy, minus Tyreek Hill, obviously. And then let me check on Bradley Chubb's injury, but he's the only other major player that I saw was injured. He's questionable still. Okay. So we don't know yet about Chubb, but either way, yeah, it should be a fun one tonight.
Yeah.
Any just general thoughts on the game before we dive into it?
I mean, not a ton. I'm interested to see. I mean, we were just talking about it a little bit, but I'm interested to see what Derrick Henry does, especially
Mhm.
with how bad like the Miami Dolphins defense has been against the run basically the whole season.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm keeping an eye on HN as always. I think he should be solid. Um, I am a little bit interested to see if Likely can kind of break into a little bit more of a role here with Lamar Jackson finally coming back.
Yeah.
He was injured for kind of the first half of the season, and we've seen Likely have blow up games. A couple years back, year back, he was definitely an interesting player, and I think that we're finally starting to see a little bit of regression from Mark Andrews. So Likely is
Mhm.
a guy I'm eyeing a little bit tonight. I want to see if Lamar Jackson can kind of get him going a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Likely is definitely someone to keep an eye on tonight for sure. Um, I think we could see maybe even Mark Andrews too. I was looking at some of his lines, and his lines are like 30 yards, which I don't know. I could see him hitting that tonight. I haven't looked at Likely yet, but he's someone that maybe could be interested in betting him today. But he also might
Yeah,
be one of those guys where you want to see it first before you bet it.
yeah, definitely.
Looking at just some like general info on the game, it's 7.5 spread right now. 83% of money line bets are going on the Ravens, and 72% of the money is on the Ravens. So that means some of the sharper money, or at least the higher volume bettors, are betting Dolphins money line. But it's actually the opposite with the spread. More the public is taking the Dolphins to cover, but a little less of the money is on them. So kind of interesting splits to see here that sharps seem to be betting Dolphins money line, but then Ravens to cover, which I think I'm on the side of Ravens covering in this one for sure.
Yeah, you generally
Talking
feel like the Ravens are going to kind of just go back to being what they were with Lamar Jackson? You think there's going to be any hiccups there? Like, you think we could see a down week for them at all, or do you feel like this is a pretty, easy win for them this week?
Yeah, I feel really good about the Ravens, honestly, moving forward. The two games with Lamar this year, they scored over 40 points in each of those. And one of those was against the Browns defense, which we know is a really tough opponent. And we saw Miami struggle against both these opponents, which you can see right here. Oh, wait, sorry, I'm on the wrong tab. But if you look at record versus common opponent on Outlier, Miami and Baltimore have both played these same two teams, and these were the two games that Lamar was healthy. And look what their offense was
Yeah,
able to
damn.
do to them: 40 and 40 points. And meanwhile,
Yeah.
Dolphins on the other side struggled against each of these teams. And that's not the only reason why I like the Ravens tonight. I think they're going to be able to run the ball and run the ball successfully. I just don't see this Dolphins defense stopping Derrick Henry. And
Yeah.
with Lamar back too, that's just another added component to the run game where they can't necessarily just key in on Henry all game, because if they do that, then Lamar's just going to pull it and take it to the crib as well. So
Right.
I think they'll be able to run efficiently, run effectively. And I think this is just As long as the game stays close enough to where they don't need to take him out, like I just see a Derrick Henry blow up spot written all over this game.
Yeah. You feel like Keaton Mitchell is gonna start eating into Derrick Henry's workload at all? Like we saw a couple big plays from him the past week. I mean, do you think there's anything there, or do you think that's King Henry's backfield?
So Keaton Mitchell is actually someone I wanted to talk through because if you're in the Discord, you saw this already, but I actually bet Keaton Mitchell over 14.5 rushing yards, which is his line right now. And if you're just looking at the data from the season, like doesn't look too great. He's only hit this in one of the 3 games so far. He's really not even getting that many rush attempts. Let me see how many carries he's had each of these games. He's had 3 carries, 4 carries, and none the other game, which I kind of like this 2.5 line, but I think I prefer the yards just because he can hit that 15 yards on one chunk gain. And I think that if, like we're saying, this game's a blowout, the Ravens are in control. Like I don't see why they wouldn't want to get Keaton involved down the stretch of this one. I think this could be a spot for sure where he sees some carries. I could easily see like him handling like the last couple drives of the game if they're in control of this one. And even if it's not a blowout game script, like Dolphins have shown they're susceptible to some like outside zone runs, some speed back. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Ravens try to like mix him in, maybe give him like a jet sweep or just any sort of run throughout the game. So I like Keaton Mitchell too.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily worried about him eating into Derrick Henry's workload, but I can see him just getting more involved as the season goes on, which is less of a knock on Henry, more of just like a positive on Keaton and his development. We know he's explosive.
Right. I guess the way that I see Keaton Mitchell coming into this backfield is if the Ravens kind of feel like, okay, you know, what are they, like 1-7, 1-8 or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, if they're halfway through the season and they start to kind of feel like, okay, you know, we're not going to make the playoffs. Like, what do we really want to do for the rest of the season? Like, how much are we going to use Derrick Henry as a 31-year-old running back? Like, do we want to save him for next year? Like, see if we can make a push? Like, I don't know. That's things that I think that the Ravens kind of management are going to be thinking about for sure. So,
for sure,
I don't know. It's something to keep an eye on. Like, if the Ravens drop another couple games, like, I don't know. They might not use Derrick Henry all that much.
Yeah, we'll if they start losing and like don't look like they're going to be making the playoffs, Keaton Mitchell is definitely an interesting name. I think that's a good shout. I just don't know. I guess if we look at the Ravens' schedule for the rest of the season, let's pull it up.
Yeah,
just talking.
I guess like what are you doing right now, or what are you thinking if you're like the Ravens, you know, head coach, and they're what is their record?
So they're 2-5 right now. I'm trying to pull up their rest of the season schedule. Give me a moment.
And the Steelers are only 4-3. I mean,
all right. So here's their schedule, right? So they got Miami, which talked about tonight. They should be able to take care of them. Yep. Minnesota, with how they've been looking, I think they'll win that game too, but that's going to be a tougher one for sure. Cleveland, they handled them easily earlier this season. I think they'll do the same. Jets, I think that's a win as well. Cincinnati, divisional game, so maybe it'll get weird. Still won't be Burrow back, but I think the Ravens will beat Cincinnati. That could be a sneaky fun game. I think it's a Sunday or Thursday night game too.
Yeah.
Then they have the Steelers, Bengals again. And then the end of the season, it gets a little tough because they have Steelers twice rest of the season, and then they have Green Bay, New England down the stretch. These last 3 games are tough, but if you're looking at this like 9 through 13 stretch, like I can easily see them ripping off 5 straight wins and getting to 7-5.
Yeah. The schedule doesn't look too bad.
Yeah. I think the Minnesota game will be very telling. If they drop this one and go to 3-6, let's assume they beat Miami tonight, then they go and play Minnesota, drop to them 3-6, then I think things get a little more shaky. But assuming they win, if they can win that game, then I think things are looking great for them. They're 4-5 with 2 games against the Steelers, 2 games against Cincinnati, the 2 teams that they're competing with in the division. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Ravens. I think we'll see a bump from them second half of the season for sure, especially when it comes to fantasy and like the pass catchers. But I'm interested to see how their defense performs down the stretch, because their defense really struggled in the beginning of the season, right? I mean, you just looking at the box scores, they give up 38 points to the Lions, 40 points to the Bills, 37 to the Chiefs, 44 to Houston, and then they play well against the Rams and play well against Chicago too the last 2 weeks. So I'm interested if we're going to get these Ravens or we're going to get more like the last 2 weeks Ravens where they look actually like a competent defense. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say it's more likely that they finish as middle to above middle of the pack defense than a bottom 5 defense like they showed the beginning of the season. Just because I think they're getting healthier. They got their guys back that they were missing the beginning of the season. The only injured player is Matabike, who's their best pass rusher. But other than that, they've gone healthy. They got Roquan Smith back. He missed some time. Their secondary was super banged up. They were down Kyle Hamilton. They were down Marlon Humphrey at certain points. They all look to be healthy. So I think we can – I don't know. If you're looking at like your fantasy projections for the week and you see like your player matched up against the Ravens, you see the green next to their name, like you think to yourself like, oh, it's a good matchup. But I think that might be one we have to think through a little more moving forward. So I'm interested to see how that plays out tonight, like how they do against Devon Achane, how they do against Jalen Waddle. It'll be interesting to see for sure.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point.
Yeah. Any other interesting narratives for this game? Maybe we were just talking about him. Let's look at Jalen Waddle. He's been doing great recently. Receptions wise, not been hitting his receptions line.
Yeah. 65.5 yards. Is that the line?
Yeah, let me go to yards. Oh, right there. So in 2025, he's over his yards line in 4 of 8 games. And then I can filter that to games without Tyreek.
Oh, it's going to be like 3 of 4. Right.
Yeah, so this is 3 of 4 that he's gone over this in games without Tyreek. This seems like a smash line, to be honest.
Yeah, low-key.
Like, I might even ladder this to like a 60, 70 yards, get a little bit of a juice payout. Baltimore has been bad against wide receivers, but we do know that they were hurting in the secondary for a good portion of the season, like I was just talking about.
Right.
So I think the stats are a little skewed because of that, but I'm still not super worried about this Ravens defense, right? I don't think they're going to suddenly become like a top 5 unit, that sort of thing. I think they might be a little more competent than we're expecting. But
Right.
we like the game script in this. We think the Dolphins are playing from behind. This Jalen Waddle 49.5 number does feel nice for sure.
Do you have any thoughts on Malik Washington in the Dolphins wide receiver core? I mean, I've got him in a dynasty league. He's, it's his second year. Hasn't really been much, but he's gotten 4 receptions the past 4 weeks. I don't know. Is he anybody you're kind of looking at just with Tyreek being down and the Dolphins needing wide receivers or just people to throw to in general?
I think he's a name to keep an eye on for sure. I'm interested to see what his role will look like these next couple of weeks. Let's pull up Malik Washington and see what his stuff's looking like tonight. I do think he's a talented player. I think he's nice after the catch. Like, that's probably my favorite thing about his skill set. I just don't know how much of an effort they're really making to get him the ball at this point, which is kind of my worry with him. Like, he's even without Tyreek these last 4 games, it's 22, 30, 36 yards. Like, I think it's fine. I just don't know like how much of a a fantasy football difference maker he's going to be. Like, I don't know if he's anything more than like a best ball play at this stage.
Right.
Yeah.
What's up, ATL? ATL is praying for a Breece Hall trade.
Aren't we all, man? Aren't we all?
I mean, he just had his big week, right? Like, that is what you want to see from Breece Hall. I was thanking the Lord that he finally did well. Like, dude finally got a touchdown. He gets 3 in one game.
I think there has been some stuff has been heating up with Breece Hall trades. I did see some stuff on Twitter about it yesterday. So definitely go and stash Isaiah Davis if he's sitting in your waiver wire just in case. And Isaiah Davis does have a little bit of standalone value too, even if Breece doesn't get traded. And he's obviously the handcuff right now with no Braylon Allen. So go and get Isaiah Davis. I like that for sure. And Malik Washington, I will say though, with no Darren Waller, I can definitely see him being like the third pass catcher in this offense. I just don't know how many pass catchers this team's going to be able to support, right? You know they're going to support A-Chain. You know they got Waddle now too. Will they be able to sustain 3 wide receivers in this offense? It's a big test. I think tonight will be very telling with Malik Washington.
Oh my gosh.
Receptions line at?
If the Chiefs get Breece Hall, I would lose my mind. That'd be so good for Breece. Chargers would be weird. Just because like you have a Marion and then you have Breece, which like feel like pretty similar backs.
Yeah, I saw did you see the latest Patriots report?
No, what is it?
The Patriots said they're looking for a running back at the deadline. What are we doing though? Like, what are we doing? Why did we draft TreVeyon Henderson if we're
literally they drafted TreVeyon Henderson and just hated him. They just like despise TreVeyon Henderson. Yeah,
I genuinely don't understand what the Patriots are doing. If they go and get a running back, I'm gonna be kind of pissed, to be honest. Just not a fan of Vrabel and what he's doing for fantasy purposes. The team's winning games though, which is like the annoying part because it's you can't expect the coach to want to like switch stuff if you're or alter the game plan if you're still winning games, right? So it's annoying. I think we just have to thug it out for the TreVeyon, but I just don't know if I see it this year for TreVeyon, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
Checked. Yeah. All right. Any other interesting storylines with this game tonight? I think we kind of laid most of it down.
Yeah.
Maybe we can look at some Lamar stuff, and then I'm gonna show my best bets after.
Jerome Ford is another trade rumor, but who would want? Like, who would trade for Jerome Ford? Kamara, I've seen a little bit.
What do we think about Lamar pass TDs? Right here. What do you think of Lamar 1.5 pass touchdowns?
Looks like a smash, honestly.
When playing this year, he's hit it in 3 of the 4 games. The 4th one he didn't hit was the game he got hurt. We know that Miami's slightly unfavorable to pass touchdowns. We look at some quarterbacks who have played them. Last 2 weeks, they haven't gone, but then Justin Fields threw for 1, Bryce Young threw for 2, and Herbert threw for 2 on them. So I don't know. Might not be the strongest play, but doesn't look too bad. I think I'm wanting to play this through Derrick Henry. That's just kind of my take on things. Let's pull up Derrick Henry, and I'll show you guys why I'm big on Derrick Henry tonight. So you got his 25 stuff. This doesn't look too great, right? Like, dang, only 169, only gone over his yardage line twice. But then, look, let's see how he does with Patrick Ricard playing. That is just not true because I know Patrick Ricard played the last 2 weeks. Anyways, Outliers tweaking. I know for a fact he played against the Rams, and I know that I think he played against the Bills too, week 1. Let me double check on that. You talk about Derrick Henry.
Ricky asks, if my QB throws a touchdown but I benched him, can I unbench him before the play finishes? I don't think you can do that, Ricky. Unless you're the Comish and you've got some special powers, you might be able to do it. But otherwise, I don't think that one's in your capabilities. No, I mean, I think that Derrick Henry is definitely a pretty solid pick. There's just more of a pass threat with Lamar Jackson, right? Like, they're going to be expecting to run less than they usually would against the Ravens or against, their opponents have been recently, just because of how bleak the passing game has been. So you do have that kind of passing threat also, which just, I think, makes it harder for the Dolphins to stop Derrick Henry. And we've already seen the Dolphins cannot stop most decent run games. Like, some teams will literally just run the ball over and over and over, and the Dolphins just can't stop it. So I think that that's kind of Derrick Henry's bread and butter. Once he kind of finds a spot or finds a read, he tends to cook. Sure. I do like Derrick Henry tonight.
Yeah, I like his touchdown too. That also feels like a good play for Henry. It's chalky, but I like it. Miami, you look at running backs who have played them. Obviously, I guess let me ask you this one, Dale. So we know that they locked up Bijan Robinson last week. Do you think that there's a chance that Miami just turned a corner? They found something with their run D. They're going to stuff Derrick Henry tonight, or do you think that performance last week's just a little fluky?
I would lean on the fluky side. I kind of forgot to take that into account, actually, that they stopped Bijan last week. But even still, I don't know. I think that there's enough data that shows that the Dolphins, just have not really been able to stop the run game. If there's something that I'm missing and the Dolphins had injuries or something like that, and they have some players back now, then I think that's another conversation. But I would not be too worried about the Dolphins run D just cooking people now. But we'll have to see. I mean, tonight will definitely be a tell.
Yeah, Max, we got you. Drop your question in the chat. We also have a Discord, which reminds me, make sure to like the stream, drop a sub, drop the Discord link in the chat as well. Make sure to join that. It's 100% free to join, and we're just in there talking ball all the time. You can ask any questions in there at any point. Thanks y'all that are tuned in right now. ATL asks, someone dropped Bateman. If Lamar is back, is he viable? Personally, I don't feel great about starting Bateman any point, even with Lamar back. I think he's okay, but I think you can do better. I like Bateman more in a best ball format where you don't have to actually plug him in your lineup. I did see someone taking the Bateman under 2.5 receptions line this morning, which I thought that actually felt pretty sharp. He's under this in all but one game this year, and this Detroit game was definitely a shootout. Miami's actually ranking towards the top of the league in receptions given up to wide receivers, surprisingly enough. But I think most of that is coming from the fact that they're just stuffing everybody or people are running all over them, and when they are throwing, they're completing the passes efficiently. With Bateman, you worry with him maybe catching one deep bomb. If you look at his receiving yards, he did go over the receiving yards one time, despite going over the receptions. If you look at 2024, he was hitting this receiving or receptions line pretty consistently, but he was hitting the yards even more so. I don't know. I feel okay about this fade if you're keeping in count, or if if you're betting with that idea that this is kind of blowout game script, I think that could be a nice correlated bet to make if you're betting like Derrick Henry rush yards over, under on Bateman, maybe a Waddle receiving yards prop on the other side of things. Something like that could be nice for a single game parlay.
Yo, what up, Frizzle?
Let's
Max
get
also asked, pick 4, Puka, JSN, Nico, Zay, BTJ, QJ, Jordan Addison. I mean, I think that Puka, JSN, and I mean, we don't know if Nico's playing this week, but if he is playing, I'd say that he's probably your locked and loaded third there.
against the Broncos, though.
Oh, are they facing the Broncos this week?
Yeah, there is no Surtain. He's out, but I still don't know if I like Nico that much in this matchup.
Yeah.
I like Zay.
No, I do like Zay. I saw that the Jags are also playing the Raiders this week, so I don't hate BTJ. I would probably lean BTJ over QJ and Addison. Addison's going to be playing with McCarthy on his first week back, which is like, who knows what the hell is going to happen there. Like, we saw McCarthy his first 2 games just like not succeeding as a QB at all. But he's had a long time to kind of take a little more of a break and, you know, just see things. So he could perform better, but I think there's just a risk there. And then QJ also dropped 0 receptions last week. So I don't know if he's somebody that I'm like super excited to just like go and start over, I don't know, BTJ or.
Ooh. That reminds me, I saw a very interesting Twitter thread last night while we're talking about QJ on the topic of this. Let me pull that up real quick. So this is from Hayden Winks, who's with Underdog Fantasy, does great work over there. So this is an interesting thing to take into account, right? So this is the Chargers snap count data from last week. So it's listed in 3 wide receiver, 2 wide receiver, 1 wide receiver sets. So basically, you're throwing out of 3 wide receiver sets, 2 wide receivers a little more even, and 1 wide receiver you're pretty much only running the ball, right? So it looks like in 1 wide receiver sets, Gatson is on the field most of the time, and Trey Harris, surprisingly, is on 91% of the 1 wide receiver snaps. But then you look at the other plays, it's Gatson on the field, it's Ladd, and it's QJ. And Keenan is kind of looking like the odd man out when it comes to overall snap share. And then looking at just the passing plays, Ladd 90% of the routes, QJ 87% of the routes, Gatson 83%, and Keenan only at 65% of the routes, which this is only 2 weeks of data, but I think this is very important data to look at because this is since Gadson's broken out, this is kind of this is how the offense is going to be looking the rest of the season, I think. Does this chart kind of worry you about Keenan? Does it encourage you a little bit more about QJ? Any takeaways from this?
Yeah, honestly, it does make QJ a little bit more encouraging. I know that I think that Keenan is going to get a higher target share percentage from like the amount of routes that he runs. And I think that there's undeniably like a Herbert Keenan Allen connection just from when they played previously. But I think the numbers tell you that they're not going to have Keenan out there running as many routes as the young guys. So, QJ should still have a lot of opportunity, but it just makes me concerned that Oronde Gadsden comes out and has, I don't know, like 11 targets or something, 8 receptions. So it's, I don't know if it's, it seems like you have 4 mouths to feed there now instead of 3. And that is a little bit concerning, but I think that you should still be, I think that QJ is still a viable flex option, but I just don't know if he's like somebody that I'm starting over those other 2 guys we talked about.
For Max's question, I don't think I would start QJ, but his name being brought up just reminded me of this. This is something I wanted to bring up on stream today.
Yeah.
So let me answer Max's question, and then I have one more question about this Chargers situation. So pick 4, we got Puka, Jason. Puka, Jason, locked and loaded. So it's pick 2 of Nico, Zay, BTJ, QJ, Addison. I'm probably going. It's between Nico, Zay, and BTJ for me. I would probably lean Zay and BTJ.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel great to bench Nico, but I just really, really am worried about that matchup on terms of CJ Stroud having time with the Broncos pass rush that we know is very good. I don't see it for Stroud this week. With Nico coming off injury too, like there's a chance he doesn't even play.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm going. BTJ is also questionable too, to be fair. But yeah, I would go Zay and BTJ for the last 2 spots.
Yeah.
All right. And then one more question about this Chargers situation. So all year we've been asking, how do we rank the 3 wide receivers, right? How do we rank Ladd, QJ, Keenan Allen rest of the season? Now we got Gadsden in the mix. How do you rank those 4 guys rest of the season right now? Let's say Gadsden is just let's account. So then this is accounting for positional value, right? So we do maybe need to bump Gadsden up a little bit because he's playing tight end. But how do you rank those 4 rest of the season?
Okay, if you tell me like positional value means something, I think that it goes Ladd 1. I think Ladd's probably your most valuable here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that Gadsden is probably more valuable. He needs like 1 more week for me, but Gadsden is probably more valuable than QJ or Keenan if he continues to like produce on this scale at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
But like if it's in a vacuum and you're picking one to start at flex, then I think that, oh man, that's actually pretty tough. I don't know. QJ and Keenan feel like same for me right now.
Yeah.
And then
It's pick your poison.
yeah, I think that I would probably still start them over Gadsden in a vacuum, but I think that I'm pretty happy if I have Gadsden at tight end. Like, I think that
Feels good for sure.
a great waiver wire pickup, a few weeks ago or whenever you got him, if you did.
Yeah. You guys answer that in the chat. What do you guys think about that? How do you rank those 4 Chargers pass catchers rest of the season? I will say, talking about Gadsden, it's interesting how far he's become because I literally I pulled my offer because I got scared, but I almost flipped Gadsden for Tyler Warren in a dynasty league yesterday, in our dynasty league, Dale. I almost pulled off Gadsden in a first for Tyler Warren, but I pulled the offer because I chickened out. I didn't want to give up a first and Gadsden. But that's an interesting one, huh?
No, that is very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, that is interesting.
All right, let's get to the rest of these questions.
Yeah, we got a few more.
ChatGPT warrior over here.
Frizzle asked earlier, I think, yeah, Bill and Woody for Genty. Where are you at on this? I mean, I think that Genty's clearly like the better name here, but he hasn't really been giving you the numbers that you want. I mean, what are you doing? Are you keeping Bill and Woody for the kind of upside potential, or are you going and getting Genty with that kind of bigger, nicer name? You muted?
Yeah, I bet I sneezed. One to make sure I was muted. I think a lot of this depends on how you view Bill. How are you viewing Bill right now? Are you panicked? Are you worried?
Dude, I'm getting a little concerned about Bill. I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, like every time I see, whatever his name is, McNichols, getting those receptions downfield, it makes me pretty upset. I'm not gonna lie. Like Bill has not been getting the kind of receiving work that I was hoping he would build into, and you're not seeing a ton of efficiency there from him either. So Bill is making me a little bit nervous. I do still think he has a decent amount of upside. I think that the Commanders generally are a pretty good team when they have Jaden Daniels healthy and, running that offense. So I do think he should be touching the red zone a decent bit. I know we haven't seen it the past few weeks, but yeah, I don't know. I think that for regular, non-dynasty, I'm much more concerned about him than I am for, dynasty, because I think that he can come back and have a good year next year.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you? It depends on my team, honestly. That's a tough one though. How do you feel about Genty this year?
So this is what I want to use for my stance on Genty. So if you guys are confused on what this is Mike Clay's strength of schedule all put on one nice graph for us. So this year to YTD category is how their schedule has been to this point. So obviously, like Cardinals, they've had the 22nd hardest quarterback schedule, and rest of the season it's middle of the pack. And it has it for each position, right? We go to the Raiders. They've already had the 19th toughest schedule for running backs, and it gets even harder for the rest of the season.
That's right.
And we've already seen Genty. I mean, we love the talent. We all love the talent, but I think this is a price I would be fine to pay for him, Frizzle. But I'm not someone who's super bullish on Genty rest of the season. I think this week will be a big tell, right? Coming off the bye week, do they try to get him more involved in the passing game? With Brock Bowers now back in and fully healthy, does that help the flow of the offense? Does that help Genty and open stuff up more for him a little bit with defenses having a concern about Bowers? These are all questions I have about this Raiders offense that I think we'll have a much clearer picture of after this week. It's a tough one for me to say, but I'm really panicked on Bill rest of the season. And if I can get off of him, I'm happy to do it. Bill's been inefficient the last couple weeks, and he just hasn't looked great. I don't know, and he's getting no passing game work. He's not someone I want to be trading for right now, that's for sure. So if I can pivot off him to a Genty, even not being super bullish on Genty, it feels okay.
If you look up, sorry to interrupt. If you look up Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt on Google, they have his height listed at 5 foot. Even though I think it's probably supposed to be 6 foot, but they have it at 5 foot. Thought that was kind of funny. Somebody who doesn't know who he is going to think he's a absolute stump.
Danny said, if my wide receiver saw 8 targets, but only 3 were catchable, is he due for a bounce back? Or is the universe just hating on him? It depends. It depends on the targets, right? If it's a Calvin Ridley situation, like probably not due for a bounce back. But if it's, I don't know, a situation where it's just like some really uncatchable passes, no drops, maybe. I don't know. It depends on when you're talking to like targets to receptions efficiency. I feel like a big factor in that is quarterback play, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't matter if your target share is high if they're not getting good, accurate targets, right? So I think that's just something to keep in track. Who are you talking about with this, Danny? Then I can give a little more thoughts. Start BTJ or Keenan. Give me BTJ ATL if he's playing.
Yeah, I think that if Josh were here, he would chew us out for both saying this. But I think that I'm also going to rock with BTJ.
Just love the matchup against the Raiders.
Yeah, I do. And Keenan just makes me a little bit nervous. I mean, we just looked at his snap share percentage, or his, routes run percentage. And it wasn't the greatest. So I'm still going to lean with my young guy, BTJ.
Danny, bro.
Dude, he's just remixing whatever question somebody asked earlier.
Keenan had one boom week 2 weeks ago. I like him more than QJ right now, aside from last week. At least for me, Ladd, Gatson, Kie, QJ. Yeah, I don't fault you too bad for putting Keenan over QJ. I personally
I don't
lean
either.
QJ over Keenan, but it's a toss-up for me. It just depends on the type of wide receiver, right, that you prefer. Do you prefer a little more floor, but probably a little less upside with Keenan? Or do you prefer that kind of more volatile but higher ceiling asset that I think QJ is?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, I think that
yeah.
they're pretty close. They're in the same tier for sure. Sorry, go ahead.
What's up, Mando? Good to see you, bro. Hell yeah.
Man,
Glad we can
no.
help get you through the workday. Yeah, we got
Let's
you, Ricky.
go.
Drop a sub, like the stream, join the Discord. Everyone in here. Bottle of Disappointment, Kamara, Bill. Who do you want? Dude, the preseason hype on Bill is actually insane. I saw people saying he's the first ever industry plant in fantasy football.
That's hilarious.
For the hype, I would say Bill. Kamara having an off year, I feel like was a little expected. We weren't really heavy in the streaming space yet in the off season. We're just starting up this season, but if I was streaming in the off season, I would have told you to steer clear from Kamara. Just Kellen Moore historically doesn't target running backs. Saints are playing in a lot of bad game scripts where they're trailing. If Kamara's not even getting receiving work in that sort of game script, like what is his ceiling these days? We already know. We have always known Kamara's not like a super efficient in between the tackles running back. Add that into him not getting 15 carries a game just because of game scripts every week. Like if he doesn't score a touchdown, he has no floor now since he gets no receiving work, which it feels weird to say with Kamara, right? You're always penciling in like 4 or 5 receptions in the Kamara we know, but that hasn't been him this year, and not good.
Yeah.
But I will say, well, it's actually funny because his running back schedule is really nice rest of the season, but it technically has been nice already up until this point. Yeah.
The Saints are another team that I want to talk about briefly before the stream ends. I mean, Tyler Shuck, whatever his name is going to be starting this week. I mean, do you have any thoughts on him? I mean, I just traded for Spencer Rattler in a Dynasty Superflex league, so it's breaks my heart a little bit to see, but I'm not going to act like Tyler Shuck was never going to start a game this season. I mean, the Saints are 1-7, right? Like they really have to try anything at this point. So it doesn't blow me away. It makes me a little bit sad. I mean, any thoughts on Tyler Shuck and whatever his name is, how he might be for the Saints?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how like target shares play out with Show. When he took over last week, he was targeting Juwan Johnson a lot. So we do know that some younger quarterbacks do tend to target their tight ends a lot just because it's an easy target for them, right? It's a big guy over the middle. They're not having to throw outside the numbers as often. It's just easy completions, right? So Juwan Johnson is someone I'm keeping an eye on with Shub under center. If he starts getting more involved, like he goes right back into the tight end, like conversation of someone you feel okay about starting each week. And then obviously we got to see how that looks for Olave and Shaheed. Does their target volume come down? But overall, for like the offensive purposes, just in general, I don't think it'll make too much of a difference. I don't know. I'm kind of taking a wait and see approach. Juwan Johnson is the biggest thing I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that Show comes out and just sucks this week, man. Hopefully he's just absolutely terrible and they just go back into Rattler, I think that Rattler showed a little bit of promise in his games. I mean, the Saints suck, but I don't think that it was the worst quarterback play in the world while he was there.
For sure.
He did throw like 3 interceptions a couple weeks ago though, so that's pretty bad, but it wasn't too bad aside from that.
Yeah. I think, that was the biggest thing with him is turning the ball over, right? He turned the ball over a lot in college. That was kind of one of his knocks coming into the pros, and him turning the ball over was why he got benched. Yeah, Mando, all reports seem like Kyler's going to play, so I'm firing him up for sure. We talked about him a little bit in the start-sit video, but we had him as a start. Cowboys, you got to fire him up. All right, one more thing I want to show before we get into maybe more just like general talks about this week. Quick pivot back to our game that we have tonight. These are the picks that I sent to the Discord. And this is everything I'm playing tonight. And the unit allocation is shared in the Discord. But if you guys are tailing any of these, I could tell you my most confident plays are the Derrick Henry 89 rush yards. And I like this Keaton Mitchell 15 rush yards line as well. And then the Derrick Henry 99 and 2 touchdowns are some spots I was more sprinkling on. And then this A-Chain total yards one, also kind of a sprinkle. And then this Ravens -6.5 paired with Lamar under 1 interception is another play I had. Waddle, looking more into the numbers, I think I'm going to play another, like some sort of Waddle receiving yards prop. I'll send that to the Discord once I officially lock it in. But I don't know. I think it's a Waddle spot, and that's the only other person I would play it through tonight on the Dolphins side beside Achane. But as you can see here, big on Derrick Henry tonight. Think he has a great game. And I'm kind of splitting my bets with him just in case. I don't know. He scores touchdowns but doesn't get there for the yards. It's good. We had the 2 touchdowns. Let's say he breaks off the yards, doesn't fall in the end zone. We have the yards. So I think we're giving ourselves a little bit of outs with that for sure. Yeah, this is all the bets I have for tonight. Any bets you want to shout, Dale, before we get into them?
Not a ton. I mean, I would just say that I have some pretty high confidence in the Derrick Henry over on rushing yards. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but I do think that Lamar Jackson over 1.5 passing touchdowns also looked pretty solid. So I think just we're kind of favoring the Ravens tonight. I don't think that we're going to see that kind of same level of defense from the Dolphins. Yeah, that was the main thing for me. Tyler asks, trade Rice for Waddle and Pickens. PPR redraft, have no wide receiver depth. My other 2 wide receivers are Allen and Moore. I'm assuming that's Keenan Allen and DJ Moore.
I typically don't like giving up the best asset in a trade, but a deal like this feels pretty good. This feels like a pretty nice return on Rashee Rice. What do you think, Dale?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's pretty solid. I'm kind of assuming that this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. So I think that what you're looking at here is you're flexing Rice, or sorry, I mean you're starting Rice, Allen, flex Moore. So you're either doing Rice, Allen, Moore, or Waddle, Pickens, Allen, probably, right? Or maybe more on a week-to-week basis. Yeah, I mean, I think that Waddle, Pickens, and then whoever else is probably a little bit safer. I don't hate the trade. I would agree with you in that, you know, I don't like giving up the best asset, and Rice is the best asset there. But yeah, it's not terrible. Like, it's not a terrible return. I would agree.
So let me show my wide receiver ranks. Just full disclosure, I haven't fully adjusted them this week, but I have moved Rashee Rice into my S tier. So basically you're taking Rashee Rice and you're pivoting down a tier with Pickens, and then you're pivoting down another tier with your Waddle, which I think is a fine way to pivot. I do think I also need to move Debo down a tier.
I will say I do think that you have Pickens a little bit higher than I do.
Yeah. I really like Pickens.
Yeah. I think that he would probably be more in that B tier for me. But I understand where it's coming from. I mean, he's proven that he's still going to, you know, give you a decently high floor, even with Lamb playing. So there's not a whole lot to hate with Pickens at this point. Yeah, I mean, he did say that it's a 3 flex league, which is pretty insane. So at that point, I would say that I do probably like Waddle and Pickens, because then you're getting more people to stick in your lineup, unless you're like flexing some really nice running backs. But yeah, at that point, you just need like people in your lineup. So I do think that getting more players is probably what you want.
Danny, I will say the Waddle TD was super juiced, which kind of steered me off of it. I would probably play it if I could get it like plus 175 or something like that. But last I saw it was like pretty much even money. It was like in the minus 105 range, which I'm not playing it for those odds. I like the yards better.
Yeah.
But I could see him scoring. I wouldn't be surprised to see him score, but it's all a price versus probability thing, right?
Yeah.
Got you, Mando. What, Ricky? What are you talking about?
Ricky's on some. Ricky's spitting some bars out here.
Yeah, Danny, the Lamar pick could be scary. Miami's not really forcing a bunch of turnovers, so I don't feel great.
Yeah.
All right, I think he will not throw a pick.
Danny also says I have Puka and Rice, but I'm 3-5. Yeah, I mean Puka's been down, and Rice you haven't had up until 2 weeks ago, but that is a pretty nasty duo.
Just hold.
I'll take Rice from you. You can just trade me Rice.
Max said trade Josh Jacobs for Kamara and Zay Flowers. I would not do this personally. I just think Jacobs is too big of a
Yeah, maybe just do like Hampton for Kamara and Zay Flowers. But I still don't love getting I still don't love getting that duo. Getting Kamara just doesn't feel great, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like Josh Jacobs for Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you do kind of need somebody to plug in, but I think that your running backs need more help than your wide receivers, if I'm being honest. You got Jefferson, Rice, Sigbuka.
Well, he has Bam for this week facing off against the Cowboys, which that feels fine as your RB2.
Yeah,
And
that should be okay.
Spears, I've liked what I've been seeing from Tajay Spears, and Tony Pollard is another trade candidate.
Yeah,
I do agree. Max, I would just hold for now. You're 4-4, but I like your lineup this week. I would roll with Jacobs and Bam, and then you got Jefferson, Rice, Egbuka, who Egbuka's had a down couple weeks, but he should smash rest of the season. And with Jefferson, I was showing this earlier, but looking at like strength of schedule rest of the season, we have been kind of fearful about Jefferson rest of the season, but he has the easiest wide receiver schedule rest of the season as a team. The Vikings do, and they've had a tougher schedule in terms of fantasy points up until this point. So I think it can get better for Jefferson, especially as we see JJ McCarthy get a little more comfortable in the offense, a little more snaps under his belt, right? He's only played, 3 NFL games or 2? So I'm hanging on to Jefferson. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I agree. I'm praying that JJ McCarthy is good, man. If JJ McCarthy can give us some decency when he comes back, that would be massive for me.
Oh, sorry. I just realized I wasn't even showing this. But this shows the Vikings wide receiver schedule rest of the season. Dylan asked Dolphins kicker for 1 field goal.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, it seems fine. It's just a toss-up when betting kickers. You're looking at red zone data. You're looking at how teams do, and once teams get in the red zone, are they holding them to field goals? Are they giving up touchdowns? Let's look at this on Outlier together, Dylan. I'll walk through it. This is my process for betting kickers. So go to props. Who is the Dolphins kicker today? It's Riley Patterson, right? Yeah,
probably.
Over 1.5 field goals made, and then you're taking it at. If you're taking out 1, yeah, I mean that should be pretty nice. I can outline it too. Oh wait, whoops.
So while you're looking at that, Ryle asks, do I trade London and Kittle for Jefferson if I have Kraft? London and Kittle for Jefferson if I have Kraft. I might, honestly. Do I think that London and Kittle is more value than Jefferson? Absolutely. But if you have Kraft and you're struggling to decide who to start on a week-to-week basis, I don't hate doing that, just because I think that Jefferson's probably safer. He's going to have a higher floor. But that all really depends on this week, and if like JJ McCarthy can absolutely do anything, because so far he's struggled. But yeah, we were just talking about him. I'm optimistic. I'm hoping he's all right.
So a couple thoughts on this kickers prop. Baltimore is ranking well against kickers, 2.1 given up per game field goals, which is 27th worst in the NFL, ranking very favorable. 2 kickers. Patterson has been hitting this most games. I think he does get at least 1, but if I'm betting 2, I would be a little more cautious just because Miami has been pretty efficient once they're getting to the red zone, and Baltimore has not been defensively. They're allowing touchdowns at a 20 or 66% clip, I believe, which, sorry, I just realized I wasn't even showing this. But going through the data, Miami's efficient in the red zone. Baltimore's defense has been struggling in there, but they have been healthy, or they're getting healthier. So I definitely think we got to anticipate more of like a bump with Baltimore's defense than these stats are showing at this point. So I think 1 field goal is pretty safe to take, but it depends on what you're getting that line at. I think there's some other safer props. Ryo asks, do I trade London and Kittle for Jefferson? I have Kraft.
Yeah, I was just talking about that one. I was telling him that I think that if you're struggling, like who to start every week, Kittle or Kraft, and you're like in that kind of predicament, I don't hate it. I do think that I feel like you could get a little bit back though, honestly.
Yeah.
But I don't hate the general concept of that trade. Like I think that Jefferson is safer than London. I think that they have similar ceilings. But it's just you're just giving up a lot of value there. So I think that if you can get a small piece back, some kind of, strong handcuff or some kind of, player that has a decent amount of upside or hasn't been playing great, then I like it.
You might be better off just trying to sell Kittle straight up, right, and hanging on to London and trying to sell your Kittle for I don't know, like a Devontae Smith, like a Lad McConkey, like someone like that. That's not necessarily like an elite wide receiver, elite player, but someone in that tier. Then you can hang on to your Drake London, and I'd feel better about doing that, I think, than tearing up for Jefferson. Like Dale was saying, I think you're just giving up a little too much here.
Yeah.
Max asks, worried about Jacobs' calf? Not really. He has been splitting more work, but I mean, I'm way more worried about Alvin Kamara than I am worried about Jacobs. And I think your trade was you're moving off Jacobs where it was Kamara and someone else, right? Yeah, Kamara and Zay. I do like Zay. I just think if you could get any better running back than Kamara, I would maybe be a fan, but I still have Jacobs as a top 5 running back rest of the season. Yeah. Dylan, you could take a Waddle receiving goblin. You could take a Henry rush yards goblin, or like Lamar 1 pass touchdown, something like that. I think I might like better than the field goal one. Rallas, rest of season, Kittle or Kraft. That's a toss-up for me.
I would agree. Yeah, it's the same thing for me. I mean, if Purdy comes back, I think that Purdy likes Kittle more than – actually, I don't know. Kittle hasn't been healthy that many weeks. But if Purdy comes back and he starts throwing the ball to Kittle, then I think that Kittle's a pretty strong tight end. But I think that Kraft just showed he's got a ton of upside, and that wide receiver core is just so packed. Feels like he kind of has that opportunity to shine through. So I don't like. I don't hate saying Kittle here. I don't hate saying Kraft here. Like beginning of the season, I definitely would have said Kittle, but at this point, it's kind of feels like it's moving towards Kraft.
I think I lean Kraft a little bit just because I think Kraft's the number one guy in his offense, and there's just more mouths to feed in San Francisco.
Yeah, no, I think that's.
Thanks, Ricky. I don't want Kamara, but starting Jefferson, Rice, Igbuka, and Zay every week was interesting. Also with Igbuka on by this week and Rice next week, I agree Jacobs is best player in the deal. Yeah, like I was saying, if you could just get like any other running back with the pulse besides Kamara, I'd feel better about it. I like Zay too. I like buying Zay.
Yeah. Can you get like a D Swift?
When Steven S, Wendell, or Bam Knight? Who's Wendell?
Dude, that's what I was looking up. I was like, who is Wendell? Is he talking
Wandale?
about Wandale? Yeah, Wandale Robinson.
Give me Bam Knight against the Cowboys. I like this spot for Bam. We talked about him on the Start Sit episode yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. I'm concerned about the Giants. Oh, that's
all right. A couple people in here. Make sure to drop a sub on the channel, like the stream, and join the Discord. It's completely free to join. Wandale down for 900 yards next game. We did talk about liking Wandale this week. I think they are playing the. Don't tell me the Niners. And Wandale's really the only target there. I think you can have a decent day. I just like the spot more for Bam, especially with them getting rid of Michael Carter, then bringing him back on the practice squad. Like, it seems clear that Bam Knight's higher in the pecking order of their running backs. So I think he should get majority of work. Really positive matchup against the Cowboys. We know the Cowboys struggle to stop the run. They struggle to stop the pass. They give up a lot of points. You got to fire up all your guys against them. So give me Knight over Wandale this week. ATL asks, would you rather have Chuba, JCM, or Kamara? The ugly running backs trio.
Yeah, just the grossest gross in gross town. I have Chuba and JCM in like multiple leagues. And I am quite frankly disgusted with both of them. I think that I'm going to lean JCM just because Chuba has flat out looked Chuba has just looked unproductive next to Rico. And I know that he's the captain, but I think that JCM is still going to get a workload. And I think that I don't know. Like, I don't know if that, I don't know if there's really a future for Chuba if Rico keeps just like outperforming him, so blatantly. Like the yards per carry is not even close. I don't know if I wasn't watching the game super closely, so I don't know if Rico just had like one breakout run or something, but like he's averaging like 7-8 yards per carry versus Chuba's like 3-4. So I don't know.
He's just been a little more efficient. As much as I've been shitting on Kamara, I think I would still take him of these three. I like him a little. I feel better about his job security than I do both these other guys. Like, I'm worried. I'm just gonna say this. I'm worried JCM isn't even gonna be the starter in Washington by week 14. Like, I would not be surprised. Like, dude, he's been bad. Like, I don't know. Like, eye test wise, metrics wise, like he's not breaking tackles. He has been some tougher matchups, but still just not the production we would like to see from him. Like against Dallas, that was an easy matchup, and we thought he was going to smash, and he got stuffed all game and made Dallas's defense look good. Maybe we could see a bump in production when Jaden's back and the offense is producing, but if he's not getting passing game work, which Kamara isn't really either, but he's still getting more than JCM is. I think I still lean Kamara. I'd rank them probably Kamara, Chuba, JCM rest of the season.
No, I mean, I think that's a fair take. Like, JCM's output has been just absolutely awful. And Kamara will give you a little bit of something because he's still getting a few receptions every week.
Mm-hmm. Fifth easiest running back schedule rest of the season too for Kamara.
Okay, yeah. So there you go. I'll take back what I said. I'll put Kamara at the top. I think I'd probably still have JCM over Chuba, even though I'm not excited to start either of them each week. Yeah, I think he'll remain the kind of bell cow back over there with McNichols taking, third down stuff. Yeah,
Max,
his names just all suck.
all right. Max said he offered Zay, Kamara, and Hunt for Jacobs and Blue. It's not a bad deal. I just feel like it doesn't move the needle for me, right? Let me pull up my running back tiers and let's talk through some other names you can maybe try for. And if you can't get any of these done, then sure, like take Kamara, I guess. But just not someone. All right. So this is my running back tiers. I haven't touched these this week, so I might need to move some stuff around on the fly here. But I have Kamara in this tier of these guys. Yeah, maybe go for like Jaylen Warren. I like Warren probably more so than I like Kamara. Even Quinshon, maybe if you get an owner panicking. We talked about selling high on Quinshon a couple weeks ago, which I think was aged well, but I can see him turning things around. And I think now some owners are panicked now that they've seen 2 floor weeks. And if you look at Quinshon's rest of season schedule, third best running back schedule rest of season for the Browns. And we talked about Quinshon being pretty matchup dependent. Maybe you can go and try and get Judkins. I would like him more than I like Kamara, I think, still. But I like the pivot to Zay. Yeah. Like I said, not the worst deal in the world, Max, but I would prefer a better running back than Kamara.
Yeah.
Ricky said you're giving mean vibes still.
I'm the dude on the right. Who's the dude on the right?
I don't know.
Maybe I am. That's all right.
Hold and hope it gets better.
That's what I would do.
I don't think you're going to get much for him at this point.
Yeah.
Does his value tank even more, though, if he throws up against Seattle this week, who Seattle's been like one of the best run defenses in the league?
Can't believe I traded for Bill right after his boom week, and then he just stinks it up. That's what it is. Ryle had another interesting question. Is London and Kittle for St. Brown a valid trade? I think I like that a lot more.
I like that better than the Jefferson one for sure.
Yeah, I'm smashing that. And I don't think that it's like absurd because Kittle is probably still in a lot of people's eyes a top 3 tight end. And London is I think that a lot of people still call him like a top 10, 12 wide receiver. Yeah, so I think it's solid.
Yeah. All right.
Ricky.
All right, I do got to get out of here shortly, but if you guys have any other questions, fire them off. Let's talk about this chart a little more. I just think this is super interesting to look through. Anyone that's popping for you on this scale, any team that you're taking note of, any situations that you think are interesting?
The Browns have had the easiest quarterback schedule to date. Is that what that is? Mm-hmm. And Dylan Gabriel, and they just couldn't get it to work with anybody. Probably says a little bit about how bad the Browns are. Trying to see what else. Oh, the Lions have one of the easiest schedules in the season moving forward for
pass catchers.
Yeah. So yeah, hey, now's your time to trade for Amon-Ra.
Mm-hmm. Texans, it's gonna get tough. Colts, it's gonna be tough, but I think JT's shown he's pretty matchup proof at this point.
Yeah.
I think Chargers is an interesting one.
Yep. My God, Vikings. Come on.
Vikings is a big time one.
Need that.
Patriots, best schedule for running backs moving forward.
Max asks, Kyren and Marv for Jacobs a good pivot. I feel like that's pretty solid. I'm kind of out on Marv, honestly, for the rest of the year, maybe. I do think that he can come back and pop off a little bit, but I think that Jacobs is probably a top 5, top 7 running back rest of season. So I like getting him.
He would be giving Jacobs. This is the same. Max was just asking about trading Jacobs. So it's Zay and Kamara or Kyron and Marv.
Zay and Kamara, Kyron and Marv. I like Kyron and Marv.
Me too.
I
think Marv's going to have a good week this week too against the Cowboys. I think it's a good spot for Marv.
Okay. He was hurt, right? He had like a concussion or something.
Yeah, but he's back. He'll be playing.
Marv is one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, who knows what he's going to do.
Yeah. His schedule, I will say, wide receiver schedule looks pretty soft the rest of the season for the Cardinals. Should be nice. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it for that. Just kind of wanted to show that chart. If you guys want to check that out for yourself, just look up Mike Clay rest of season schedules for fantasy, and you should be able to find it. Make sure to check out Mike Clay. He does a lot of good work for ESPN, and most of it is free to check out. Good resource for y'all. Yeah, absolutely. ATL. Joe Alt coming back was huge for them. Their O-line was atrocious without him. And they also got Pipkins back too, which is another starter on their offensive line. But they did, as soon as they got both of those guys back, Mekhi Becton went down, who is one of their best run blockers. So I haven't been, to be honest, I haven't looked too much into the Mekhi Becton injury. But I think that's one we got to keep an eye on too. This Chargers offensive line just can't win this year. Yeah, Slater go down ahead of the season. Pipkins, all looking at Mekhi Becton's injury. Looks like he's out this week.
Dude, Vidal's rushing yards, this is totally off topic, but I'm just like looking at some lines. Kimani Vidal's rushing yards line is at 77 rush yards.
Against the Titans?
Yeah, it is against the Titans, but still, dude, that's like, that feels high. Josh Jacobs rush yards at 65.
It does feel high. It's a good spot for him, though, against the Titans.
Yeah.
But it does feel really high still, even with the matchup.
Right.
Yeah, he's looked good at ATL. I'm not getting too crazy on him because I think it's still going to be Hampton's backfield when he comes back, but he's looked good.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that it's I don't think that you can even call it like a Rico Dowdle-Chuba situation. I think that there's a definite discrepancy there between Vidal and Hampton. Like, once Hampton comes back and he's fully healthy, that's going to be, I agree. That's going to be his backfield.
For sure.
But Vidal could be interesting for a few weeks. And I mean, if you can sell him in Dynasty or something like that, it might not be a bad sell.
I agree. All right. I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up. If you guys have any other questions, you can fire them off real quick. We'll get to them. Join the Discord. If we don't get to your questions during any lives, you can always ask them in the Discord. We'll get to them there. We're in there all the time answering questions. Make sure to like the stream if you haven't already. Drop a sub. We go live a couple of times throughout the week. And maybe leave a comment on some of our lives and say what type of content you guys like. Do you guys like these like betting previews? Do you guys like the tier rankings videos we do, start sits? Still kind of trying to figure out what our content is going to be looking like rest of the season. So still trying to kind of work out the kinks, see what is most appealing to the audience. So let us know what you guys like. And yeah, anything else from you, Dale, before we get out of here?
No, it's a pleasure as always. Thanks for having me. Yeah, let's go Lamar Jackson. I need some of this guy. I've got him on a couple teams. I need this man to pop off.
Derrick Henry. I need it tonight. Come on. All right, y'all. I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure to join the Discord. If I have any more bets ahead of the game, I will drop them there. Peace.